Everyone thought it was. My sister stole my husband at my baby shower. She never expected what happened next. I was 8 months pregnant when I found out my own sister had been sleeping with my husband for over a year. And the worst part? She did it right under my nose, in my own house, while pretending to be my best friend. But what I did next didn't just end their affair, it ended her marriage, her career, and the comfortable life she thought she'd stolen from me. Let me take you back to where it all started. My name is Sarah. I'm 32 years old, and 3 years ago, I married the man I thought was my soulmate. I'll call him Mark. We met in college, dated for 6 years, and finally got married in a small backyard ceremony. Everyone said we were the perfect couple. Even my own mother used to joke that Mark was too good to be true. My younger sister, Jessica, was 2 years behind me in everything: school, career, relationships. She'd always lived a little in my shadow, and honestly, I never minded. I tried to include her in everything. When Mark and I got married, she was my maid of honor. When we bought our first house, she helped us pick the paint colors. She practically lived at our place on weekends. Looking back now, that should have been my first red flag. When I got pregnant last year, Jessica was thrilled, or so I thought. She started coming over even more to help me prepare for the baby, she said. She'd bring groceries, help clean, and stay late into the evening while Mark was working overtime. I was grateful. I thought I had the most supportive family in the world. I had no idea I was inviting a snake into my own home. It started with small things. Mark started locking his phone with a new passcode for work security. He started taking calls outside, even late at night. Jessica, who used to text me dozens of times a day, started taking longer to reply, but somehow she always had time to drop by and check on me. One night, about 6 months into my pregnancy, I woke up at 2 a.m. and noticed Mark wasn't in bed. I found him in the kitchen, talking quietly on the phone. When he saw me, he hung up immediately and said it was just a coworker, work emergency. I believed him. Pregnant, exhausted, and trusting, I believed every single lie. A few weeks later, I asked Jessica to help me set up the nursery while Mark was supposedly at a business dinner. She showed up wearing perfume I didn't recognize, expensive, floral, completely unlike her usual style. When I complimented it, she got oddly defensive and changed the subject fast. I brushed it off. I told myself I was being paranoid, pregnancy hormones, anxiety, nothing more. I was wrong. The truth came out 3 weeks before my due date, at my own baby shower. My mother had organized everything beautifully: pastel decorations, a dessert table, all our friends and family gathered in the backyard. Mark was there, playing the doting husband, rubbing my shoulders for the cameras. Jessica arrived late, running an errand, she said. During the gift opening, my phone buzzed with a text. It was from an unknown number. Tell your husband his girlfriend left her earring in his car. Found it when I borrowed it. Thought you should know. It was from my neighbor Linda, who'd borrowed Mark's car that morning for a grocery run, because hers was in the shop. She had no idea what she'd just done, or how much she'd just saved my life. I excused myself, walked to the garage, and found the earring exactly where she said. I recognized it immediately. It was Jessica's, a gift I had given her for her birthday 2 years ago. I stood there in that garage, 8 months pregnant, holding proof that my husband and my own sister had been having an affair, possibly for over a year, right under my roof, while I was carrying his child and trusting her with my life. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. Something in me went ice cold. I walked back into that baby shower, smiled for the cameras, opened the rest of my gifts, and said nothing. Because I wasn't going to confront them in front of an audience. I was going to make sure they confronted themselves in front of everyone who mattered. I spent the next 2 weeks gathering evidence quietly. I checked our shared bank statements and found hotel charges I'd never questioned before, always on days Jessica claimed she was out of town for work. I found a separate phone bill account I didn't know about. I even found a security camera I'd had installed in our garage months earlier for package theft that had captured Jessica's car parked in our driveway late at night multiple times while I was supposedly asleep upstairs. I didn't tell a single person, not my mother, not my friends. I needed everything airtight before I made my move. I consulted a lawyer privately and learned something that changed everything. Mark's name was on our house, but so was mine, and under our state's laws, infidelity during the marriage could affect asset division in my favor, especially with evidence. I also learned that Jessica, who'd recently been promoted to a trusted HR position at her company, had a strict company policy against relationships that could create conflicts of interest, and her boyfriend, conveniently, happened to be one of the company's biggest clients. The same client Mark worked for. I had everything I needed. Now I just needed the right moment. I chose my baby's gender reveal turned birth announcement party, the same family and friends, the same backyard, 3 weeks after I gave birth. Everyone assumed it would be a sweet celebration of new life. Instead, I had printed copies of select hotel receipts, a timeline of the affair, and still images from the garage camera, all sealed in elegant envelopes labeled "A Special Announcement," placed at each table setting, just like Jessica and my mother had done for invitations months earlier. Petty? Maybe? Satisfying? Absolutely. When everyone opened their envelopes at the same time, the backyard went dead silent. My mother gasped. My aunt dropped her glass. Jessica's face went white. Mark stood up so fast he knocked over his chair. I stood, baby in my arms, and said calmly, I just wanted everyone here to know the truth before anyone says another word about what a perfect family we are. I had already filed for divorce. That morning papers already served to Mark's office that day. I had already sent an anonymous but factual tip to Jessica's HR department about her relationship with the client, citing the company's own conflict of interest policy. Within 2 weeks, she was let go. Her reputation in our small industry circle ruined. Mark lost the house in the settlement, thanks to the evidence of infidelity and the fact that I'd quietly secured full ownership documentation months before. He moved into his mother's basement. Jessica moved out of state, unable to find work after word spread. It's been 8 months now. I have full custody of my daughter, a clean house with no traces of either of them, and a quiet kind of peace I haven't felt in years. My mother still struggles with what happened. She lost a daughter and gained clarity about a son-in-law she should have questioned sooner. We're healing slowly. As for Mark and Jessica, I heard they're still together, struggling, broke, and isolated from a family that no longer trusts either of them. I don't feel guilty for what I did. I gave them silence when they thought I knew nothing, and I gave them the truth when they least expected it in front of everyone who mattered. That's the price of betrayal. If you're going through something similar, gather your proof. Protect yourself legally, and don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking you're overreacting. Sometimes the calmest revenge is simply revealing the truth at the right moment. If this story hit close to home, let me know in the comments, have you ever discovered a betrayal like this? Subscribe for more real stories of betrayal, justice, and the moments people finally took their power back. See you in the next one.